Welcome to episode 30 of the Live, Lift, Love podcast, PEDs, Positive Enriching Discussions. I'm your host, Clifford Janice. Today's episode is titled The Vegan Khaleesi. You can find me on IG at Goltz Conditioning, and you can listen to the Live, Lift, Love podcast on SoundCloud, Google Play, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, and YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and if you visit the Live, Lift, Love podcast on the Goltz Conditioning website, please be sure to leave a comment. Welcome back, here with another guest to talk about all things health, nutrition, wellness, and well-being. Hey, Roshni.
Thank you so much, Clifford. Thank you so much for having me on.
No, thank you for reaching out. You listened to the episode I did with my good friend Selena.
Yeah.
You sent me an email, and we found a time to work, and here we are. So excited to discuss and learn as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Right. So where are you located?
I'm located in the southern part of India, the subcontinent of India, in the southern part.
And how long have you been on your fitness journey?
Close to 10 years now. So I've finished 10 years in like a year.
So to start, I'll do my usual. I'd love to learn as much about yourself as you're willing to share. And then we'll kind of transition once we hit the point where you started investing time or committing to fitness and wellness.
Yeah, sure. So I was working and studying in the US, actually, in New York. And I was not in the fitness industry. I was studying as a clinical psychologist, and I loved my job. It was absolutely rewarding. It was something I always wanted to do. I like to reach out to people, but then I was called back to India because my family was going through a crisis. My dad fell really sick, and there was no one to look after work in India. Our family business, which happened to be in the fitness industry. So I came back at a very young age. I want to say 22, 23 then, and with a lot of, resilience. And I hated, I didn't want to come back. And I was very angry with my father. I remember still being very angry with him because if he took care of his health, then I wouldn't have to do this. Then I would get to live my dream. Obviously, everything turned out for the best. And I'm so glad I came back because I feel what's lacking in today's world is people sort of look at fitness different from mental health, but there's not a lot of fitness trainers nor mental health experts who understand that one sort of bounces off the other. You need both to go hand in hand, especially people struggling with, mental health issues such as body image issues, bulimia, anorexia. There's no proper personal trainers are not trained. We as trainers are not trained. Even you, when you studied NASM, and I've done NASM too, we don't have chapters in the book or not enough education to teach us how to deal with clients with, like, let's say, schizophrenia or bipolar disorders. We have to sort of learn that by ourselves, and most trainers don't make an effort to read about it. So when I came back, I started working with, and I had my master's in clinical psychology, and I certified myself to become a personal trainer. And I started sort of, working with clients in both the aspects, especially body image issues. And I was even attracting, my magnet was set in my mind. I was attracting a lot of clients struggling with body image issues and bulimia and anorexia. And it sort of gave me an opening to combine the two industries together. And that's what I do now. My approach to fitness is not unidirectional, just in terms of nutrition or physical health, but it's nutrition, physical health, lifestyle modification, mental health, different components which I try and bring to my clients. So that's a little bit about me.
I really like the honesty about you being upset at your father.
Yeah,
it's fair, right? You have this dream, you have this goal, and we all kind of have these individual responsibilities for our lives and we want to take it. And you made the effort to kind of chase your dream.
Yeah.
And then life hit, life changed, and it's honest to be upset. In the moment, you get over it, you evolve from the feeling, and you find new passion from it. But it's honest and it's real to be upset.
I feel even now when I'm talking to parents, I tell them, if you have a child, it's not a choice. It's your moral responsibility to be fit. It's not an option. When you have kids look up to you, especially when I was, at the age of 20, 21, and I was raised very protected from my family. They gave me everything. I didn't even know how to sign my own check. I didn't know how to open my own bank account. Everything was taken care of. It was like, here's your card, and just swipe the card when you need it. And then suddenly everything just comes down on your shoulders, and you're asked to. In fact, I remember because my family owned a chain of gyms, fitness centers. When I entered the gym, I did not know. This is why I started studying about fitness, because the trainers didn't look up to me. No one wanted to. They didn't respect me. I didn't come from their industry, and I
Right.
did not know anything. I did not know, you know, client goals, how to help them reach their goals. I knew I wanted to help people. I didn't have any approach, to do that. So I was sort of forced into it, but then I'm glad I did it. I'm so glad I sort of educated myself and started working towards mental and physical health.
Right, because it allowed you to kind of. I mean, that kind of goes back to the point of life happened, but you make the most of it, right? That you've
Yeah.
since you have the ability to kind of chase your initial dream, and now you just transition it into a new dream, but still
Yeah.
the same goal, and combining mental health and physical health, which I definitely agree is something that's overlooked when it comes to the physical. Um, I think the industry, especially with social media, has just kind of transitioned into this vanity. It's all about just looks. It's as long as I look good, as long as I get um, interactions on social media, it's fine. But I mean, there's so much lacking in terms of mental health and gearing people up to kind of balance out
Yeah. And different
the.
people,
Go ahead,
so
go ahead.
even different people, there's a different reaction. I was reading one of your blogs about top 5 things I learned from yoga. And there's one line which you wrote which says, I grew up with a lot of yelling around me. And to counteract that, I speak softly. And that was like, I was like, wow. This is someone's reaction, because kids take habits from parents. Kids
Yeah,
pick up things, and kids, are like sponge. They pick up things and they want to do that. And here you are, you saw this and you know that this is not right. And you just, you turned out to be a different person, a better person. I was like, wow. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the writing, which, by the way, your blog is awesome. Hats off.
thank you.
More and more I was reading about it, I was like, I really like this.
Yeah, it's just perspective. We either pick up the things we like and the things we don't like, we just try to avoid. And
Yeah.
I just try to do the opposite because, like you said, I know this isn't right. I know this isn't how people are supposed to communicate. There's
Yeah.
supposed to be a different way to do it. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, this is my balance. Just being a low talker.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's really good. Most people don't like, when I'm working with kids, especially at very young age. Now, in the recent times, I've started noticing kids in their teens struggling with obesity, childhood obesity, and when they come in with their parents, parents are constantly, complaining that she's so fat and he's so fat. Parents don't understand that kids are picking up on that. They're very negative messages kids are picking up on. Not everyone can deal with, you're going to schools and colleges and you're hearing your peers talking about or making fun of you because you're obese, and then you hear the same thing from your parents. And fitness needs to start at home. If parents were healthy in the first place, the child wouldn't struggle with childhood obesity. You can't have fit parents and an unhealthy child. You can't have that. But parents don't want to take the blame on themselves and then just say, oh, my child just eat junk all day and doesn't move, and it's not fair.
Yeah, it's everyone's responsibility. It's
Yeah.
like to your point, it's the parents to kind of it's the parents' responsibility to set the example and be as aware and involved as their child's life to kind of help them make the right choices. And, granted, life is busy and parents may not be as involved because of, sometimes it's financial reasons, sometimes working multiple jobs.
Yeah.
But also, being a parent and being involved in your child's life, it gives them confidence to kind of know that there are people who care about them, even if they're being bullied at school, to your point about hearing negativity everywhere. You still have home, you still have people in your corner to support you, and
Yeah.
it helps you push a little further. What school did you go to when you were in New York for psychology?
I was in CUNY, City University of
Oh,
New York, which is in Manhattan.
do you remember which one?
CUNY, CUNY.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's like there's CUNY Hunter, there's CUNY
CUNY
John
Hunter. That's
Jay.
right. CUNY Hunter.
Okay, cool. I went to Hunter too. I got my degree in sociology there.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's amazing. What year were you then?
yeah.
About life.
2010, I believe. Yeah.
I want to say around 12. I want to say around 2012, maybe I was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as you said clinical psychology, I thought of Hunter because Hunter
Hunters, yeah, they have a
has like
very
the
good
best psychology.
They had the
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
psychology
Yeah.
program. Yeah, I was in
Yeah.
SUNY before that, City University of New York, where I did my bachelor's in Buffalo, and then
Okay.
I moved to CUNY Manhattan, Hunter.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So go back to you go back home. You're settled in, and then you see this necessary change to kind of pivot into fitness. So, what were those initial early stages like for you?
Initial early stages, I think the reason I got into it was obviously because of my family and trying to first of all get my dad fit because he was obese and the doctors were pretty strict. If he doesn't lose weight, then he might lose his life. So I wanted to try and get him interested in fitness, which is what it started off with. But then I started seeing more and more people take like who are coming to the gym, who are coming to the center. They're taking some form of antidepressants, but people don't want to talk about it. You'd never go up to a trainer and say, "Hey, I'm taking antidepressants." Nor would trainers make an effort to ask, at least in India. So when you're taking antidepressants, it screws with your metabolism, your hormonal functions, and you're not going to be able to see results at a pace as fast as someone who's not on any kind of antidepressants. So I started noticing that more and more people are struggling because uh, they have busy lifestyle, they're taking medication which they don't want to disclose to people because it's tabooed, and they're getting upset when they're gaining weight, they're not seeing results as fast at a pace which they are supposed to be seeing. And a lot of people are also sort of going towards alternative treatments like fat loss surgeries, and which they don't need to. So that's how I started getting interested in about fat loss. And then I came across a plant-based diet, and I wasn't on a plant-based diet. I'd heard about it when I was in the US, but I didn't think it was healthy because when you're raised in India, you're raised with the belief that milk is very important for you, and milk is important for your bones and calcium and all those things, which everyone, I think, all across the world, everyone's brought up hearing.
Right.
I started reading a lot of books about plant based nutrition and started realizing how easy, like literally, how easy it is to lose weight without calorie counting or without being as strict in terms of portion control when you're on a plant based diet, because naturally there's not a lot of saturated fats, there's not a lot of cholesterol coming in unless you're like a junk food vegan, which most people are not. Most people eat healthy, most people don't go out like every single day of the week eating KFCs or McDonald's. Most people don't. But that's how I started sort of helping people heal through a plant-based diet. And then it started transitioning to working with people with diabetes and hypertension and thyroid and PCOS. And as I was seeing my clients get better, I decided to certify myself, and I got my diploma in plant based nutrition specifically. And now I only work with people who are willing to transform into a plant based diet, because I feel ethically I'm not going to be able to put something on your plate which I know is not right for you, which I myself wouldn't eat.
Wow, that's amazing. It's a lot to unravel, and I say that just because it's very specific and very niche, and I like the idea of just I'm not working with people
Yeah,
like it shows your ethic and your morals, and it shows your drive and your passion behind the
yeah,
work you're willing to put in. Having that discipline and having um, these standards as a fitness wellness expert,
yeah,
it shows your credibility in the work you do, and I think it's important, and I think so, again, going back to what fitness has become, it's just people are just looking for the quick fix. They're not looking for the discipline, which automatically hones in on the mental health aspect also.
yeah.
Just to backtrack a little bit, did you put your dad on, or did you ask your dad to go on a vegan based diet also?
I tried. I tried the worst people to convince. I can convince the entire world, but my family. Which I think is with most people. They don't see a teacher in me. They don't see a nutritionist in me. They see a daughter in me. They
Right,
want
right.
better. So it's very difficult to convince your family. I tried. Trust me, I tried, and I keep trying. But no, he did lose a lot of weight though. He got fit. And then he keeps yo-yoing back. because of he refuses to make lifestyle changes, which is very important, which is extremely important. People look at fitness or like diet as, do something as long as you lose weight. One of the other things, Clifford, which I saw in your profile, was that you love hiking and you love calisthenics and you love outdoor sports, and you love this. You don't do it to stay fit, you do it because you enjoy it. You thoroughly
Right.
even when you're talking about yoga, when you're like, when you say om, it's like it's more than just a word. It's letting you vent out what you're feeling, and that is a lifestyle change. It's not till you lose weight, it's not till you get a six pack, it's not till you get fit. It's something you do for the rest of your life, irrespective of weight loss, irrespective of fitness. It's part of your lifestyle, which most people don't look at fitness as. For them, it's like, till I reach a scale goal, I'm going to do this and then stop doing it, and that cannot be a permanent fix.
Yeah, I mean, it's the ever present challenge, right? Of just trying to, I look at it in one aspect of having people just be more responsible and be more self aware,
Yeah.
but also not looking for outside affirmation because
Yes. Yeah.
the abs and the muscles, you're doing it for the most part. I think a lot of people, not even a lot of people, I think people do it for the most part. So that, again, they can post on social media or they can go in certain places and show off their curves and their body, which is fine. And that's great within itself. But without establishing, if I didn't have all these abs, if I didn't have these biceps, if I didn't have these breasts and this butt, would I still be happy with myself? Right.
Exactly.
And if you don't have that base of just being happy of existing as you are, then anything you build on top of that,
Yeah.
it's a weak foundation, and anything can quickly just kind of change how it can, I guess, affect your mental health and how you view yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember in my decade being in the fitness industry, which is close to 10 years, and I'm I'm good at training. I know what I do. I love training people. I'm good at it. I took 2 years completely off social media because I was not in the best shape of my life. And that did not take away from my quality of being a trainer. I was still the best trainer in terms of what I did. I was very good with motivating and helping people, but I completely went off social media because I wasn't in the best shape of my life. And that sells when you're online, and you're selling fitness. You have to look your best self. And sort of, it, like you said, it has an effect not only from the client's perspective on their mental health, but also trainers on social media going to extremes to look a certain way to be able to sell their product, is what I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, right? It's again, yeah, I keep bringing up the social media aspect. People, you get a certain amount of followers, now you can promote any product you want, and
Yeah.
it's just a cash grab, which is, what everything is, unfortunately. So yeah, I
Yeah.
saw on your IG that I saw your fitness transformation picture. What was that experience like for you?
um the experience personal, it was a lot of trials and error because I wanted to make sure that when I'm it's one thing reading theoretical knowledge, and it's one thing implementing and seeing if it is sustainable. And I think as personal trainers, all of us do it. You try different forms of fitness because you want to know how it feels like, and all of us do it. All fitness trainers do it. But the journey when I competed as a bodybuilder was very smooth for me, because I had one of the best coaches to guide me, who was herself a plant-based competitor, a plant-based national level champion. She was very good. She was from Australia. Her name is Chrissy, and she's really good at what she does. But I don't think I would be able to compete on a plant-based diet without having that kind of guidance, because you're constantly told that you can't build muscle mass on a plant-based diet. You can't do this. You can't do that. Which honestly I think was easier for me. It was easier for me to build muscle mass because there was very less inflammation. I could go back to the floor, I could train harder, my recovery was much faster. And because of that, it made it easier for me, in fact, if anything. Yeah. So having the
So,
right guidance, it's important. Most people try to
yeah.
sort of, like they go to Google for their meal plan and fitness plan. I suggest everyone, like you would visit a doctor once in a year to get your full body checkup done, at least once a year, go to a personal trainer, work with someone who's an expert in their field. That's the reason they're there. They're an expert in their field. And I suggest everyone to try it.
I like the idea of that annual personal trainer check in.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I have
yeah,
the part of my like fitness philosophy is empowering people to kind of do the work on their own. I don't really believe in like, if I have a client for 2 or 3 years, that means I'm not doing my job. I think that, and this ties in with the mental health aspect, right? Like, let's say it's a year. You know, you're with someone, you coach them, you train them, but you also incorporate some of the mental health aspect just through dialogue, through confidence building. You should build them up to a point where they can kind of do their work on their own, where they no longer need you as a personal trainer because you've allowed them to hit their peak. Now it's their responsibility to kind of see if they can go do the work on their own, which reinforces the importance of self confidence and the ability just
yeah,
to be disciplined, do the work. And maybe if they falter, then they come back to you. But again, I like the idea of the yearly check in. So you say you have a client for a year and a
yeah.
half, 2 years, you help them grow, and then all right, you're on your own, and then they come back in a year, you reassess, and you kind of grow and build with them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really like
Because
that.
because things change, right? Every year you're getting older, your metabolism changes, how your body function changes, your work ethics change. So if you're sitting for longer hours, that changes. How much you're moving, your NEAT changes, your nutritional requirement changes. And most people wait till the very, very last moment. Till, like simple example is with, let's say iodine. Let's say you're not taking enough iodine in your diet, and then you're feeling lethargic, you're feeling low, you don't have energy, you go to the doctor, and the doctor says these are the classic symptoms of hypothyroid, and starts you on medication for hypothyroid. Now if you were going to your nutritionist regularly instead of the doctor, then not regular, at least once in a year, the nutritionist would look at your meal plan and say, hey, you're not getting enough iodine, why don't you add, like, sushi or like iodized salt to your diet, and this way you're going to get enough iodine, you're not going to have to worry about anything. And maybe you wouldn't have to take thyroid medications ever if you had reached your iodine goals. But most people look at, sort of nutritionist as like an investment they have to pay money for, and it's not worth it, but would continue taking supplements and medication which they don't need for the rest of their life, um, but wouldn't pay for a nutritionist. So I highly insist everyone once in a year just check in with your personal trainers, your nutritionists, your dietitians, whoever you're visiting, just to make sure that everything's okay. It's an investment towards your body. It's not an expense.
How do you think? I mean, because everything you're saying is so on par. I mean, there's a general awareness that health and wellness and eating the right foods is good for you. Like, I mean, that's just a realistic fact.
Yeah.
But there are still people who just don't care or don't have an interest. How do you reach out to people like that? Like, what do you think works in terms of like really getting people who aren't interested, who aren't committed, to kind of start the process of lifestyle change?
Yeah, yeah. And there are many like that. A lot of times, I think it's in a way Indian concept where children come up to me and say, hey, talk to my dad or talk to my mom, and they're not listening to me, and they have diabetes, and I want someone to talk to them, and you'd be the right person to talk to them. And I have to tell them, no, I cannot do it, not because I'm capable of doing it, but they're not in their right mindset. And if you're not in their right mindset, you're not going to follow anyone's directions, no matter what. Um, to help you reach to that mindset, you educate them. You send them like newsletters and videos and messages and anything you can do to educate them. All I tell them is ask them to start following me on my Instagram, and then once they start, snippet every now and then, they're getting these little subconscious messages how taking care of your health is important. At some point they'll be like, hey, I'm not sure if I can go on a plant-based diet, but maybe I can try my maybe I can make my breakfast plant based. That's a good start. And then you
Yeah,
have to patiently, very patiently, like a child, you have to start from like meal one and then build your way. But sometimes it might take months, even for my clients who paid for the services. And it's their investment. You're investing money. Sometimes all we are able to do in the first month is getting breakfast right. That's it.
Yeah, I love that idea. It's that's the plus side of social media, right? The conditioning. You know, you said the newsletters, just putting it in their face, like just like when you go to the supermarket, right? You see the chocolate and all the chips and
Yeah,
all this
yeah,
the high fructose corn syrup drinks by the register for you to buy at the last minute. But you know, you flip it on them, right? You put
yeah,
positive content, you put positive
yeah,
reinforcement, you show videos of transformation, you show other people transforming and changing their lives and changing their bodies, and little by little, you know, it gets people to get that little switch on. We're like, okay, you know what? Like you said, maybe I could do this. I won't do it in this full capacity, but I'll start. I'll see how I feel. And while
yeah.
they're gearing up, you're still doing what you need to do. You're still putting the content out there, and hopefully it starts the process. Yeah, I love that.
It starts a process, and it has to be instead of constantly nagging, which as and it's
Right.
very difficult when you have your loved one, like with my boyfriend. He's obsessed with beer and alcohol. Um, but if I'm going to constantly nag him, it's never going to change. But it's so hard because I love him, and I worry about him. And, how can you watch someone who's so close to you um, slowly destroying their liver? it's
Right,
it's
right.
so hard. But at the same time, you're supposed to take a step back, not nag, not do anything about it, and just start, like you said, sending these small messages that over time they themselves will decide to drop a habit.
Right. That's all we can do. I mean, that's kind of the overall. I mean, that's all of life. I mean, we're aware, but just the challenge of wanting and sometimes taking your ego out of it. Like sometimes I think being in fitness and
Yeah,
going through the process of body change and all this, and seeing the benefits, there's a mild ego and like, yo, like I know this works. Like, trust me. I was where you were. I know this works. Just
yeah,
come along,
yeah,
just follow, just come with me on a journey. And
yeah,
people aren't willing to. And, there's frustration but there's also the need to get rid of the ego. It's not about me. I can want the
yeah.
best for you, but if you don't want it, if you don't want it for yourself, then my wants can't supersede your own wants for yourself.
It's absolutely, yeah. I couldn't put it better. That's amazing. Yeah. And I understand it's so frustrating. Yeah. Even with clients, with everyone. It's so easy when I'm looking at someone saying, it's so easy. Can't you just drop this? It's not that hard. But from their perspective, it's a very big lifestyle change. Even
Right.
simple things. Drinking so much water a day. For me, say it's supposed to be a no-brainer. How can you not get thirsty? How can you not drink water? But from their end, it's an activity. It's an additional activity on top of all the other activities which they have, and it's not easy. So trying to understand or empathizing with the client is very important. I think all personal trainers should pick that up.
I love that you called it an activity, and I'm thinking about it as it's the reward system. It's the sugar, the rush of the rush that the sugar was it dopamine, I believe, not dopamine, excuse me. The I can't
Endorphins.
remember the word. Endorphins, yeah, the endorphins that the sugar releases into your brain, it makes you feel good. So that's why you're gonna have another can of soda. All right. That's why you're going to have two bag of chips versus one. The
Yeah,
flavoring and all these things, it's an activity and it's a reward system because in a lot of times there aren't other aspects of your life that feel rewarding, right? You may go to a job that isn't that beneficial. You're just there to get a paycheck. So, having that break where you could sit down and drink that Coke and eat that chips or, eat whatever,
yeah,
it is
yeah.
an activity, but it's your little
Reward.
reward for
Yeah,
yourself
yes,
that you're allowed to have.
yeah, yeah. This is a beautiful term I came across recently. It's called psychodietics. Um, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Psychodietics, I think it's called, where you try and understand the emotional aspect of food, why people eat food, and the emotions attached to it. Human beings are like this. We eat when we are happy. We eat when we are sad. Everything for every mood, we have a food. When Thanksgiving, it's a celebration. We want to eat. You're going through a breakup. You want to eat. And if you're going to take
Right.
that aspect away from people, it's like taking emotions away from the person. That's why when people go on a diet plan, you sort of don't have this release, and trying to teach them to look at food as nourishment and look for other places for release, especially when you're not working out, you're not staying physically fit. It's really hard, which from a trainer's perspective, you understand, that, I see that you're emotional eating. But from a client's perspective, they don't see that. For them, that's a form of release.
Yeah, and again, sometimes that's the only release they have. That's comfort, and it's easy.
Yeah.
It's because that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be easy, so that I go back to the consumerism aspect. It's meant to be easy. It's meant to be an easy reward, so that you go get more. Drinking a can of soda never lets you down, right? It always feels good. It always feels rewarding. All the things that we know are detrimental to our health, they're easy to TV's so easy now, right? I have Netflix, I have Hulu, I have Disney, I have everything. I can watch anything I want any time of day. It's so easy. But what's the benefit for me? What's the reward? What does it allow me to kind of reestablish or re-envision in my own life? And most of the time it's nothing. It's just me going back to the idea of an activity, just me just doing something to feel good, and then going back into the process of everyday life.
Yeah, because you mentioned that this recently happened to me, which is, easier to relate to, because one of the lifestyle changes I highly suggest my clients to follow is no technology 1 hour before going to sleep. And I've never double thought. I've never thought, it's so hard, because I myself follow it and I've been doing it for years. But the way I do it is, 1 hour before sleeping, I'm going to get my meal preps ready for the next day. I might take my dog for a walk, and then I cuddle with my partner till I fall asleep. It's easy. It comes to me very easy. But when I'm working with my clients, they're not able to get off technology. And I'm like, why can't you? It's not that hard. And recently, when my partner was out of town, I found myself like Netflixing till I fell asleep, literally, because it started getting so hard. There's anxiety, there's different emotions you're dealing with, and you don't think about this. I never thought about it from this perspective. But when, imagine, you're living alone, you're not living with your family, you're away from your family, and you don't have a pet, you don't have any other form of human emotions around you, then for that person it's not going to be easy. For that person it's not going to be easy to turn technology off and go to sleep, when you're not used. Then it takes like rewiring of the brain, it takes like teaching yourself again. So for me, it took me some time to teach myself again what to do, 1 hour before sleeping. What can I do? Because if I was reading a book, it was making me anxious. It was Anything was making me anxious. So yeah, just empathizing with clients and understanding their starting point and working with them from their starting point. And I literally changed this in my plans. I'm like, okay, how about 20 minutes before going to sleep you go without technology, and we build up from there, instead
Right.
of trying to aim for 60 minutes and then failing and then feeling guilty about doing it.
Right, right. It's funny you brought that up about your boyfriend not being around. My fiance has been out of town for a few weeks, and I found myself being more lazy since she isn't here.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
having someone there, it keeps you more honest. It
exactly.
keeps you sometimes it keeps you more honest with yourself. Like when she's here, and granted, I still do. I'm working nonstop. I'm doing all these different things. I'm always, I have a routine, and
Yeah,
she hasn't been here, so I've been a bit more relaxed, because it's just been me and the cat. But it was an interesting perspective just to realize that and it shows that we need people. We need community. We need people to kind of balance us out, and
yeah.
it's important. So it gave me a great perspective. And like I said, it's funny that you bring that up. Like he's not around. I'm gonna watch some TV, and I'm like, I'm just gonna bum out on the couch a bit longer today. I'm gonna sleep. I'm gonna sleep until like 8:30 versus 7:30.
Yeah, yeah. And that is with clients. So when clients, everyone's at a different starting point. And as personal trainers, we've crossed the starting point. So we expect everyone to be like miles ahead, but they're not miles
Right.
ahead. They are where they are. And you have to go back and, start over from where they are and then start helping them get to our point.
So, what got you into body image specifically? I'd love to learn a bit more about that.
Um, I think it was my first client which I worked with as a personal trainer. She was a teenager and struggling with body image issues, mostly coming from the parents, because the parents were constantly, torturing about. And it was sad. It was really sad. Very over dominating parents, and constantly telling their child in terms of how she needs to look. And the child used to literally come to the training center with me 1 hour away from her parents, and many times she would just vent on the floor. She would start crying, and I had to take her to a different room and sort of just calm her down. I think that's what started. Um, that's what got me thinking. Um, but then but as my social media grew, more and more people started sending me messages, DMs, and mails, and getting in touch with me, saying that they've gone through similar emotions because I talk about it a lot on my social media. And it's difficult from a body image perspective. Mostly when I'm talking about teenagers struggling with, like, bulimic episodes related to overeating, and then overtraining, trying to compensate, and then going on prolonged fasting. Which people, but I think everyone has, a lot of people, not everyone, a lot of people have this mindset that eating less means, or like diet has to be eating less, and eating less means only by torturing your body can you get into shape, which is not true, which really is not true. They don't take into consideration any other factors, and everyone has this mindset that if you're on a diet you should be starving yourself to sleep, which is not the right way to look at it. So when I'm working with people, I try and make them understand, there's leptin resistance, there's metabolism, there's liver function. There's so many things, and it's so complicated. Not even doctors and researchers know much in terms of calories in and calories out. What we do know is we can increase your insulin sensitivity, we can increase your leptin sensitivity, we can sort of make you more aware of hunger signals, and we can help you look at food as nourishment and not as an emotional crunch. We can do that, that's in our control, but it doesn't have to be starving and have a negative association when it comes to diet is not negative, it's not a negative word. It means nourishing your body, it means giving your body the fuel which it needs to function. So I think that's what got me interested in body image issues.
Yeah,
Do you see a lot of
I mean,
clients with this? I'm wondering, do you see a lot of clients who are open to talking about this?
I haven't been seeing clients that much since I moved out to Denver,
Oh,
but overall, overall, my experience, not so much. I mean, I think because of my physique and because of, I guess, the different ways I've trained my body, most people just come to me for just for direct weight loss, for toning, for sculpting. Those are most of the clients I've had experience working with in the past.
yeah, yeah. Interesting, right?
So, what are some of the unique challenges that people with body images face compared to your other clients?
Sometimes it's so bad that people, women mostly, this is with women, and I think I have more experience working with women, don't want to come to the gym because they're not very comfortable working out in front of other people. And this was very, very common, especially in the early stages when I was working, which is why I started my online training and I launched my fitness app, so people can work from the comfort of their house. But these are also the people who don't have a lot of experience with training, so they don't even have their basic push pull lunge squat rotation, even their basic moves right. And watching something from an app and trying to replicate it is not easy. It's not easy, especially when you don't have a trainer around. It's not motivating, it's not easy. So now our gym, we have a separate room which is only dedicated towards one-on-one training. So we have, like, some basic dumbbells and barbells and some body weight training exercises, where if we have certain clients who are not comfortable going to the gym and working out in front of other people, then we would take them downstairs in a different room, and the trainer would work one-on-one where the client feels safe, and the client can work out and feel comfortable about it. So this was a huge thing which I saw, but this is also true with people with different mental illnesses. Like, I was working with a client with schizophrenia, similar kind of issue. It was too overwhelming for her to step into the gym floor, and there were times when she would, like have a panic attack and hear voices, and she wanted to just go away. So we started working with online training, and then slowly, like 1 day a week, coming to the gym and then taking it from there till when she was comfortable, also away from the crowd. So this is one thing which I most commonly see. But social media is a huge influence, and it's like someone who's out of shape or obese, we've sort of, as a, I don't know, as a society, we've sort of made it normal to call that person like, hey fatso, hey, you call these names which are like acceptable in the society, and everyone laughs about it, including the person who's struggling from obesity. Sort of masks, the pain, and masks the feelings. And when I'm working with clients, I encourage them to talk about it. I encourage them to, how do you feel when, and a lot of times these just turn out into a therapy session. But I think with personal trainers, that is generally the case, because you don't spend so much, especially if you're training a client every day of the week. They give you 1 hour of undivided attention, 1 hour of technology free time. How many people can say they spend 1 hour of technology free time even with their spouses? Because people are working the entire day. You don't have that much time with anyone else, human interaction with anyone else. And people spend that much time with their personal trainer, so inevitably they're going to tell you about their life, inevitably they're going to tell you about their feelings. And if a personal trainer is interested enough to ask, they would more than gladly share their feelings with them. So yeah, I encourage trainers to ask questions.
Right. It's I mean, again, kind of going back to what the industry kind of is and what it's used to. Like, I'm mostly thinking about group classes.
Yeah.
I used to work at a boot camp for a little bit, and it's thinking about the disconnect. Although it's supposed to be personal training, it's no longer personal training. You're just another body
Yeah.
in the class of 30, 40, 50 people. But I know your name, so so it's enough. And granted, there are. I mean, my experience at the boot camp was great. There is,
Yeah.
you talk and you intermingle. It becomes very much a community, kind of like CrossFit is, right? You go there, everyone does
Yeah.
their work,
Yeah.
but you hang out afterwards, and you meet up a bit before class starts. So there is a bit more of the community feel where everyone kind of holds each other accountable and responsible, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have the direct personal feel, which might be a good thing. I mean, I remember one of the trainers told me that there was this woman who would, she'd been coming to class for months, never really spoke, just class doing her thing. And, one day she came up to him and was like, thank you so much for just the motivation and the classes. I've become like this an amazing, confident person at work now. I got a promotion and all these things that being in the classes have done for her without the need to have someone directly work with her. And maybe it's just that some people can grow from that. Some people don't need the direct one-on-one attention. Some people can just be, I mean, like, I guess maybe people in the military, right? You can be you could be a peer amongst many, but still
Yeah.
find a way to shine and do what you need to do.
Yeah. But even that, no, even community is a form of therapy. And which you mentioned in your in your yoga blog, it is so beautiful to think about it in that perspective, because you have this sort of group you can go to, and everyone's going through similar kind of physical training. So it's like similar goals, everyone sharing like similar fitness journey, and they're sharing the experiences, which I do in my online classes. I love this. Sometimes online classes, what I do is, all in the beginning, I just, especially when I have a new person coming into the class who's very intimidated and not very sure if they're able to do things, I call out people who've accomplished a lot, and they talk about their accomplishment. And it's not only the person who's talking about the accomplishment, which feels very good about themselves when they leave from the class, but all the other people also feel really good, because it's so much of positivity. Everyone's going through the same form of nutrition, same form of fitness style. It's so much of positivity and motivation that they feel that, hey, this person has accomplished this, I can too. And that is therapeutic, that is meditative, that's what people want to hear, that I can do.
Right. And the community aspect also shows you that it allows you to appreciate other people's bodies as they are. So,
Yeah.
like the 200 pounds on me, it's not going to be 200 pounds on you. We're all going to, regardless of the weight, regardless of the number, our body is going to look different. It's going to be shaped different. We're going to have tone and definition in different places, but we still feel good and we're still happy. And that's all that matters. So it helps kind of recondition the, 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 the community aspect reconditions the individual aspect, I feel, for me. Yeah.
This is to parents, all the parents listening to this. I would encourage, if you have the means, the financial support and the means to do this, or every children should join at least one team sport, because they learn so much, and it's more than just the sport. If a child is, let's say, into soccer, it's so much more than just soccer. It's about team building, it's about learning to lose as a team, it's about learning to win as a team, it's about training, celebrating small victories as a team, it's about being able to say it's okay for me to let someone else win, but as a team we all win. So these things are so important in the upbringing of children, which people take for granted, but I think everyone should join a team sport in their life while they're growing up.
Yeah, it's difficult to say that now with everything going on. Mostly with COVID, and I wonder how that what that looks like in the future. What team sports looks like for children
I
in the
know, right?
future.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
How has COVID been in India?
It's been crazy. Also, I think India is in the top second highest cases in the world, second or third after the US. So it's crazy. And India is also going through, like in the US, you'll have Thanksgiving and New Year's. We just went through Dasara and Diwali, which is the top two festivals in India, and which means celebration. And though it wasn't as celebratory because of the financial crunch India is going to go through now, but a lot of people were on the streets and celebrating, and it's going to, we haven't even hit our second wave yet, and we are already really struggling. So it's crazy. Also, if we go into a second lockdown, we had a first lockdown from March up till August, and then if we go into a second lockdown now, I don't know what the economic situation looks like 6 months down the line,
Right.
especially for people who live on like per day wages, and there's lots of them in India. It looks really bad.
What was the name of the celebration again?
Diwali.
Diwali.
Yeah, it's like the New Year
Okay.
in India.
Okay. And how did you celebrate Diwali?
With a lot of bursting of crackers. It's like the 4th of
Okay.
July, which lasts for 3 days. But we also had a ban on crackers this year, because there were a lot of people struggling with COVID, and additional pollution would only make it worse.
Right.
But also, the cracker industry is very, very big economically. And when there was a sudden ban, it's hit the markets and it's hit the people. And I don't know. I hope things get better. I really hope they do. But it seems like the country is ready to go into a second lockdown.
The Live, Lift, Love podcast is brought to you by the Black Excellence Shop. Shop our Black Excellence calendar and journal bundle, 366 days of creativity, motivation, and spirituality. And shop our Black Excellence Daily app for Android and iOS, blackexcellencedaily.com. How have these past few months been for you with clients and this kind of transition in your work? Have you just been focusing on social media a lot more, or has it been still kind of the same for you?
I think it's for everyone in the fitness industry in general. I think it's opened up more avenues than ever before for everyone. And the reason I say this is I train clients currently from Australia, from the Middle East, from the US, of course, because I have a lot of clients there. I have Europe, Kenya. I have clients from parts of the world which I would never, ever think of training. And it's forced me because we went into a lockdown. There was no other alternative option. But if I had to survive, I had to start doing something. And it forced me to take training digitally. And I think that was like a 10-year leap. I would never have, not me particularly, but fitness in general wouldn't go online to this extent if not for COVID. And I think that's a very beautiful thing if you look at it from that perspective. Lot of seminars I do now, I'm training 400, 500 people together, and I would never think of doing that because geographically you limit yourself based on where you stay and how many miles of radius can you cover. But COVID forced you to get out of that and expanded you sort of to a bigger geography, which I think was very beautiful. and taking, but at the same time you're losing the personal touch. Personal training is different from online training. It's not the same, no matter how hard you try. So if I'm taking like a Zumba class, I don't take Zumba, but I take something called Body Shred, which is a Jillian Michael program. It's a 30-minute program with very high intensity program. You need very loud music for it. So most of the time, and I don't want to deprive my clients of that. I want them to have that environment. So I'll have music playing in the background and I'm yelling on top of my lungs so they can hear me on top of the music. um, it's not the same experience, but we try to do the best we can. It's taken away the personal from the personal training, but it's not bad. It's okay, I guess. How about you? How's your lockdown been?
Uh, it's been it's been kind of a bit of the same for me. I mean, I work from home, so I don't need to venture out as much. Most of my time outside is either spent going to the park, going for hikes, running, and now I recently bought a camera, so going to take pictures and grocery shopping, and every now and then just kind of
Yeah.
hanging out. But overall, I mean, things kind of feel the same. I'm just waiting again, like you, waiting for the second wave to kind of see, what the real outcome of these past few months are going to look like. So, but
Yeah.
overall, things feel okay. Overall,
Yeah. Do you feel you get more time with your cats now?
uh, too much time. Yeah, and it's just the one, but yeah, it's too much time. Yeah, he's very needy. Not well, he isn't needy. He's just greedy. I mean, like all animals,
Oh.
right? Like he sees me in the kitchen and he thinks treats and snacks are coming. So it's being patient with the meowing and crying and whining. But it's been fun taking care of him. He's fun sometimes.
Sometimes. I've never been. I got a cat once. I fostered a cat once and I could not. I could not. They're very different from dogs, and they're,
Right.
my foster cat wouldn't come close to me and didn't want to be touched and wanted to be left alone, and I did not feel very good as a cat parent.
Like I totally get that and totally feel the same way too. But I still I meet him halfway. Like it's not his fault. He's just a cat. So I just do what I gotta do just to make him happy, so he can enjoy his life while he can.
Yeah,
So
you try to
what?
love them. Cuddle. They don't like to be cuddled. They don't like to be touched.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get
And
it.
they don't wag their tail when you come back home. Dogs do
Right.
that, and it's very cute to see that. They're not excited when you come back home.
Dogs make you feel loved. Cats just
Oh,
make you feel like you have a roommate. Like that's it. That's it. You have a
that's
roommate and you pay all the rent and you feed them like that. That's what it is.
they live for yeah, that's so true. That's like exactly what cats are.
Uh, so I know you said these past few months have been great for you in terms of transitioning and reaching out a bit more. What are some of the challenges you faced working, doing, transitioning into the online role a bit more?
Well, obviously, it was a huge transition in terms of our. We still have running gyms. My gyms were completely shut down for a very long time. And that means we are still paying rent, but there's no income coming in. But more than anything, the personal trainers who are working at the gym, they have no source of income at all because they depend on their incentive from their clients. And if there's no training, there's no incentive. Um, so most of these people were out of work for close to 6 months, which is a very long time. Um, there's debt, there's loans, so we had to struggle through that. So that was a very difficult transition. Hope, touch wood, the gyms have started running now, but it's going to take, I want to say, at least 6 months till clients start coming back the way they were before, because everyone's scared, and I get that. So and it's scary because we as a family, all of us are in the gym all the time, so we have interaction with people, and we have to be there. So it's also putting my staff and my family at risk, which is very scary. But you got to do what you got to do. You can't shut things down, so you have to get past that phase, which is scary. But in terms of online, it was also about teaching people that it's okay to not go to the gym, have equipments. It's possible to train your body through body weight training. Explore different fitness forms. I explored only during the lockdown. I explored and mastered myself in animal flow, Ashtanga yoga, and Vinyasa yoga, which is three different forms of fitness which I've never done before. Um, you know, I got my animal flow certification, but I wouldn't practice it actively because I love strength training, I love weight training. But I had to, relearn sort of, different forms of fitness which you can do. And now I'm dabbing into a little bit of calisthenics. So but you had to relearn, you had to, adjust to whatever circumstances are there. And also sort of what happens with personal training is, like I said, there's a lot of mental health aspects. So we have meditations and pranayam and these kinds of things. So sort of understanding how you can translate that to an online medium. And many of the meditation practices which I work with my client is dynamic meditation practices. It's not seated meditation, because people in general now don't have the attention span where they can sit, close their eyes, and reach into a thoughtless state. Meditation is nothing but a thoughtless state when you have zero thoughts in your head. Or at least you're able to reduce thousands of thoughts to 100 to 10, 10 to 1. Just have one focused thought. And it's not easy for people to close their eyes and just go into a thoughtless state. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of issues built in and suppressed issues which start coming up. So the meditation technique which I practice with my clients is dynamic meditation. Things like, you're dancing and dancing and dancing till you reach a thoughtless state. You get lost in the dance. You don't have any thoughts in your head. Or chanting, you're chanting, like when you say om repeatedly for a few number of counts. When you're verbatim, you're telling a word verbally, your thoughts won't run. Next time try this. When you're saying om, you can't think, your thoughts will stop. That's why chanting is such a powerful form of meditation. So I wanted to see how can I do this in an online medium, because clients are sitting in their home, but they also have their family members around. Now, when I'm telling them, close your eyes and say Om, they're saying Om in front of a computer screen. And, their family members who are around them, it looks stupid. So people are, they are not, you can do it in a yoga class. It's not very comfortable doing it online. They are not comfortable doing this online. And or dancing, I many times when I have a live class, a group class, I turn the lights off and I'm like, just dance, no one's watching, just dance. And it's very meditative for them. But doing it in front of a computer screen where you have, like, your spouse watching you or your child watching you, it's not very comfortable. So we have to, like, change that entire format and see how you can still bring these things to them without making them feel conscious about themselves.
I really like the idea of dynamic meditation. It's freeing, and it gives people allows you to kind of meet people where they are. Like you talked about, um, going from, like, 10,000 thoughts to 1,000 to 10 to 1. Like that's
Yeah.
a very, very long transition, right? Like it takes priests and monks
Yeah,
years and
yeah,
decades to kind of get to that point. And we all don't need to get there, but
yeah, yeah,
you meet people where they are. And if, like, I like the idea of just dancing, turning the lights off, and just being around, spinning around in your apartment or your house, and just expressing
yeah,
yourself and being free. Um,
yeah, yeah.
it's
That's so
crucial,
true.
and we all kind of need to find the best practice, what works for us in terms of just releasing energy, but also reconnecting with ourselves. Also, yeah.
I've had clients message me now in the online sessions, after a dancing session, because I'll tell them that, turn your videos off, turn your lights off, and just dance. Literally, it's such a simple activity. It's such a simple activity. Just 15 minutes of do what you want with your body without anyone judging you. Such a simple thing. And clients would message me later. I started crying. I could not stop crying. I'm not sure why. And it's just so much of, built-in emotions, and everything is just coming out. It's a beautiful form of which I insist everyone does. I was speaking to someone else on some other podcast, and the when I asked the host, what's your form of fitness? It was not a fitness podcast. And he said, um I have two kids. And he was, I think, a single father. He said, I have two kids, and every night we have this ritual where we just turn the lights off and we dance it out. And that's my form of fitness. And I was like, wow, I wish all parents could do this. It's not, no money investment. There's nothing. Just teaching your kids
Time.
that it's okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 10 minutes. Yeah, teaching your kids it's okay to just, it's okay to dance. It's okay um, to do without being judged.
I love that. Yeah, yeah. That's what that more confidence, more less fear of worrying about what you look like, and I guess self expression. You know, that's what matters in this life
Yeah,
experience.
yeah, very interesting.
So what other type of you said you have an app? Give me a general idea of like what are some of the features of your apps? Do you have guided meditation? Do you have fitness plans? Do you have videos? I'd love to learn a
So
bit more about that.
so one of the things, it's a lot of changes on the app are modified as per lifestyle modification. You want to, because I don't do calorie restriction but still help people lose weight without calorie restriction. One of the features of the app is, it's simple things. You eat high volume food, you're eating food which is high in volume, you're going to get filled, and you're not taking in as much calories. Food diary is an important feature where clients can, as it's from their phone, it's very simple, a click of a button. Every time they're eating or drinking something, you click a picture and it gets uploaded on the app. And my team member or I personally check the food diaries on a daily basis, so we can instantly get in touch with the client. It keeps them sort of accountable. There's adherence chart every evening before going to sleep. The app will send a pop-up notification, have you done this? Simple things like, have you had 3 servings of fruits per day today? And you do a yes, no, or doesn't apply. And then at the end of the week, it gives you a graph and compares your graph to your last week's graph. So just showing people that they're progressing, it keeps them very excited. I also do a lot of recipes. I make a lot of food. I love cooking, and I record my recipes and upload it for their clients. Where they can refer to. It's like a recipe library where they can refer to things, and then you can do it at home. So that's another feature. Um, Videos, of course. There's fitness videos. There's motivation videos which I try to put in once in a week, and even a lot of myth clearing, like things, where are you getting omega 3s from, and where do you get your B12 from, where do you get your D3 from. So these kind of videos, informative and motivational videos. So anytime you feel low, just open one of the motivational videos and you should be pumped. These are 5 minute snippets, what I would do on Instagram, but a little bit exclusive for my clients sometimes on the app. So yeah, so they are some of the features.
Those are great features, especially the reminders. Like, did you do X? Did you do Y? Did you do Z? I mean, that's the reinforcement and kind of allowing people to hold themselves accountable. And
Yeah.
but even though you're allowing them to hold themselves accountable, you're just again kind of meeting them a little bit halfway and making sure that they're
Yeah.
doing the rest of the work that they need to do.
Yeah. All
And
of us are
and
glued to our phones all the time.
yeah, so I mean that's the best way to connect with people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm assuming all the recipes are vegan recipes also, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So tell me a bit about, I guess, maximizing weight loss on a vegan diet and some of the challenges, or do you think it's a bit easier compared to traditional dietary restrictions?
Having tried both, I feel it's much easier. The reason being, one, you're not consuming a lot of fats. So fats is like 9 calories per gram, and carbohydrates and proteins is 4 calories per gram. Everyone knows that. But what most people don't, either don't mention or don't know is, under carbs you have different. You have fiber and you have starch and you have sugars. Fiber is 2 calories per gram, which is half of the calories of carbohydrates. Also, unlike carbohydrates and proteins and fat, which, you know, excess carbohydrates will be converted and stored as triglycerides, fat cells. Excess proteins get converted through a process of gluconeogenesis into carbs, and then excess carbs get stored as fat. Fiber doesn't get stored in the body. Excess fiber is just flushed out of the body. So even if you're taking a little bit of excess fiber, it's okay. It's not storing itself as calories in the body. It's just flushed out. Plant-based diet is naturally very high in fiber. It's a very fibrous diet, which is also difficult when people are transitioning from a meat-heavy diet or a vegetarian diet to an all plant-based diet. Suggestively, don't do it overnight because you're going to have digestive and gut issues. You're not used to eating so much fiber. You slowly take it up, but fiber fills you up, so you're not taking in as much calories either. Plus, it's not as calorically dense as carbohydrates, proteins, or fat. Starches are 1 calorie per gram, It's half of the calories of fiber. So you might be thinking that you're eating a lot of food, but it's not a lot of food because starches are very heavy in water. So they're not really calorically dense, but they're very dense in terms of filling you up. So naturally, when you ask someone to go on a plant-based diet and you say, okay, let's say, you're eating 1800 and you calculate on MyFitnessPal or Chromometer and you say you're touching 1800 calories on a plant-based diet, you actually are eating like 1500 calories. You're not eating 1800 calories. But when you calculate it, it's showing 1800 because we calculate fiber, starches, everything as carbohydrates. Um, Also, 1900 calories on a plant-based diet is a lot of food. A whole food plant-based diet is a lot of food. Unless you're eating too much of like nuts or seeds, it's a lot of food. So it was much easier for me when I was doing my transformation on a plant-based diet because I could still eat a lot of food, um, be full, be satiated, and still not be consuming as much calories. That's why fat loss becomes easier. Also, with fiber, fiber helps you get rid of excess free floating estrogens in the body. Estrogen is a hormone, female sex hormone, which is also responsible for storing body fat. And if you have free floating estrogen in the body, you have symptoms of PCOS and PCOD, um, but also excess body fat. Now, consuming fiber helps you grab onto these excess estrogen molecules and flushes them out of the body. And this is beautifully written by Dr. Neil Bernard, who's a pioneer in health and pioneer in nutritional science. In his book, Your Body in Balance, which I suggest everyone should read it talks about dealing with metabolic conditions like diabetes, thyroid, PCOS, even erectile dysfunction, and a couple of other issues, and how what role fiber and a plant based diet plays in terms of reversal. So I feel it's easier. Have you tried, Clifford? Have you ever tried a plant based diet?
I did a meatless May once, and I
Okay.
for fun, catchy names, right?
Yeah,
To get
no,
people to do
I've
it.
never heard of that. I've heard meatless monkeys. I didn't know meatless maize.
Yeah, I did an entire meatless May, and there was a probably a year where I mostly ate only like meat substitutes.
How was your
Um,
experience?
it was fun. I mean, I felt the meatless May was an amazing experience. I felt alert. I had constant energy. I slept a lot better. Actually, I might need to do that. I think because I mean I haven't been sleeping well for years, and it may be maybe the meat, maybe the screens and the constant working. But yeah, thinking about it now, it was a great great few 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I felt energized, and even with the transition from not eating as many calories or trying to find substitutes, I still had energy to exercise and run and pretty much do everything as much as I used to. Yeah.
But you know what? Even if you don't drop meat, I feel the main culprit is just dairy. It's just so adulterated, processed, and hormonated. I think if you can just get dairy off your diet, that's like more than enough in terms of getting your energy levels back. You don't have to drop meat if you don't want to. I think more than anything, dairy is the culprit, which is what I see with
Yeah.
most clients.
I really don't. The only, I guess, I mean, I drink almond milk. That's pretty much it. And every now and then, I mean, we'll have some cheese, but I'm really not a dairy person.
Dairy
I
person.
mean,
Yeah.
and occasionally I'll get like the little small dollar Haagen Dazs ice creams, and I'll enjoy that like once every 2 weeks. But other than that, yeah, I'm not a dairy person. It doesn't sit well with me anyway.
Yeah, with most people. I mean, most people are
Right.
lactose intolerant. So India is obsessed with dairy. We use a lot of clarified butter, which is ghee in all our cooking, and everything is tempered with ghee. And cottage cheese is very huge in India. It's a delicacy, actually. And milk is huge in India. I know parents forcing their kids to have a glass of milk before going to sleep every night. Um, and these are the kids who are throwing up and having symptoms, and just parents just keep forcing them. So it's just most people are lactose intolerant.
So give me an example of a vegan, uh, I guess a vegan meal plan from when you were transitioning into the vegan lifestyle to now. Like how different are those two plates, or how different would that meal plan be for you in
Very,
comparison?
very, very different. Because I know
Okay.
when I was transitioning was also the same year I started. I started getting ready for my bodybuilding competition. So I transitioned in, I want to say, May, and September onwards I started preparing for my first competition. So I was, on a calorie restricted diet, and eating every 2 hours, and eating as per my training. Macros were calculated. There was an exact breakdown of proteins, carbs, and fats, and how many grams of what I was getting in, micronutrients and supplements, and very different. What I eat now, I do intermittent fasting now, and I stick to a 2 meal. I eat what I want. I eat, but mostly it's low fat. It's mostly low, of course, plant based, but mostly low fat because I don't use a lot of oils in my cooking. There's not a lot of nuts and seeds and olives and avocados. So mostly low fat plant based diet, but no calorie restriction, no macro counting. Um, no supplements. So the only supplements I take is B12 and D3. I don't take protein powders currently because I'm not looking to gain muscle mass or anything. Nor do I take any other supplements, unlike what I was eating when I was competing. And instead of 5 meals, 5, 6 meals, it's more of a 2 meal, sometime OMAD, 1 meal a day, but mostly 2 meals a day with maybe a snack in between. A lot of herbal teas, which I've come to like a lot, and I make a lot of my herbal teas at home with different kind of herbs and spices, which are huge in India, um, which is a blessing, which is a very big blessing. A lot
Right.
of greens, which I wasn't doing before. I don't think I used to eat a lot of greens before, but now I eat at least my body weight in grams in greens. My body weight is 55 kgs, so about 55 to 60 grams of greens per green leafy vegetables per day, which is a lot
Wow.
than I was eating before. Yeah, yeah. When was the last time you had something green?
Something green. What did I eat yesterday? Probably Saturday. This is carrots. And granted not green, but like carrots, broccoli, mushrooms, cauliflower,
But
and some beef stir fry.
what about, like, kale and spinach and that kind of green, like green leafy vegetables?
I haven't had kale or spinach in a very long time,
Really?
honestly. Yeah, yeah. I go through food phases. So there are moments where I'll spend like 3 months and I'll have kale every day or spinach every day. And
Yeah,
then I'll just lose interest. And I think that may be part of our problem that I get fixated on something specific. Like I eat oatmeal every morning. I have oatmeal. For like the past 4 or 5 years, every morning is oatmeal.
yeah.
But lately, it's like I just get sick of it, and I think that that's part of I overconsume something for too. I'm a creature of habit, so I do it too much, and then I get sick of it. And I'm like, I need to avoid this for a long time.
What are you
But
fixated on now?
um, right now, what am I? Right now, I'm back on trail mix, trail mix, and grapes. That's what I'm really actually no trail mix, grapes, and pomegranates because this is the season. Yeah, I've been waiting for them all year. I went to New York a couple last month, and I bought like three or four,
Yeah.
and I came back and they were here, and I've just been going going through them weekly. And
Yeah.
I mean, I love them. They're delicious. I love the juice. I love the color. I love the process
The
of just breaking them apart.
crunch, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying pomegranates for as long as I can until they're out of season, and then I'll find something else to kind of go back into. I wanted to talk about you brought up the concept of beating the blues with fitness in a vegan diet. So how does vegan food, how does plant based food affect mental health, and what are some of the benefits?
The effects of a plant-based diet on mental health. This is a widely studied topic in Ayurveda, which is the Indian ancient form of medication. And as per Ayurveda, there's three kinds of eating principles. There's something called sattvic, mansik, and tamasic. Sattvic is a plant-based diet, a predominantly plant-based diet, which is very low in oils and very low in heat-producing spices. Then you have mansik, which is mostly a plant-based diet, but includes oils and includes a lot of spices which produce heat in the body, like garlic and onions and chilies. And then there's tamasic, which is a non-vegetarian diet or a meat heavy diet. So there's different kinds of diet and the effects it has on the body. So sattvic is, it's cooling, and people who follow a sattvic diet mostly um, also show symptoms of being calm and cool, and composed, versus people who follow a tamasic or mastic diet. This is also studied in Western medication, to an extent, where feelings of anger and feelings of negative emotions have been associated with the meat heavy diet, also from a different, not the similar thing, but very different. People who work in slaughterhouses are more likely to create episodes of domestic violence, which is a very common, which is a very commonly studied topic in the West. So I think, a plant-based diet does have effects on your mood. um, I wish it was a more explored topic. I really wish it was more explored, but not a lot of people are studying about it currently.
Yeah, I can definitely. I want to make the connection that people who eat plant-based diets are more health conscious, and that within itself is automatically going to create a situation that allows for better mental health and allow for lifestyle changes that incorporate health
Yeah,
and healthy
yeah,
choices. So I think on maybe that's like the base level. Like it seems like that's an obvious, like a obvious connection. Um, and everything else is just the bonus aspects. I'm not specifically sure about the vitamins and and the nutrients and all the basic the compounds and how they'll affect you mentally. But I think within itself, it pushes you in the right direction is to make healthier, more conscious choices that will innately just allow you to feel
yeah,
more
yeah.
alert,
It
more
is,
positive, and more focused.
yeah, it's, yeah, probably not like a direct effect, because when people say a plant-based diet is expensive, if you look at the core of a plant-based diet, it's not really expensive because it's fruits and vegetables, lentils and pulses. That itself is not expensive. But people who go on a plant-based diet also, in the future, they start shopping organic and they start exploring, like, superfoods, and that is expensive. But that's not a plant-based
Right.
diet technically, but people who switch to a plant-based diet also mostly switch to more healthier choices, which in itself are expensive.
Yeah, I mean, and down the line, you learn more about food density. You learn about superfoods and finding options. Being able to find 11 nutrients in like a teaspoon of a
Yeah.
superfood or a supplement. Like there are options, and the more the knowledge you have in the beginning isn't what you're going to have down the line. So the more you practice it, and the more you're part of the lifestyle, you find new options. But also, people create new options. Right, going back to the idea of superfoods. I work for this alternative health company, and we have this product, and it has like 12 superfoods in one jar, and then different um, there's different parts of it. There's like energy. There's a clarity one, but the amount of density, the amount of nutrients in that one teaspoon,
Really,
it,
it's
it
nothing.
came from it came from people starting in the plant based journey or starting transitioning into the health journey, and it's looking for better options. How can I give people who are in need or who want more options all the vitamins, not all, but a lot of vitamins and nutrients in a reasonable dose, so they still get the energy, and they still get the nutrients, and they still get the the health essentials that they need for every day.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
So I was looking on your website, and there was you had some fasting tips for, and please correct me if I say this wrong. Paryushan,
Yeah, yeah,
is that how you pronounce it?
yeah, yeah. You got it right.
Okay. Okay. So, and I know you talked about intermittent fasting a bit earlier. So, what are some of the challenges you find with fasting for holidays or for larger celebrations, or is it pretty much the same for you since you do intermittent fasting?
So Parishan, let me explain what Parishan is. Parishan is basically um, a 7-day festival observed by the people who follow the religion of Jainism. Now, Jainism is it's one among one of the oldest religions in India, similar to the practices of Buddhism, rather originated in a similar time as Buddhism. Uh, you know, and people who follow Jainism follow a lot of different practices like non-violence, ahimsa, which is huge, and non-possession. And one of the other things they follow is the 7 day celebration, 7 day festival, when they observe like a period which is closest to God. If you look at any religion in the world, every religion has some or the other form of fasting. If it's Islam, it's the spirit of Ramadan. um, Anything, if it's Christianity, it's the spirit of Lent. But there's some form of fast, some or the other form of fasting in any religion all across the world. If it's you know uh, Judaism, then it's different forms of fasting. So I think fasting is ancient. It's not something new. And I also believe that humans are not meant to eat 24/7. You didn't, when you were like cavemen, you didn't have access to like, a 24/7 McDonald's. You didn't have access
Right.
to food all the time. You had access to food when you hunt, and you hunt once in every few days. You don't hunt all the time. Um, so humans are not supposed to eat all the time. And more, I mean, I started following intermittent fasting just out of convenience, because it's lesser cooking time, lesser time in the kitchen. You get time to yourself, and lesser things to worry about in terms of waking up and thinking every day what you want to eat. Which, by the way, I used to do what you do too. I used to oatmeal all the time till I get really bored of it, and then try and explore something and come back to oatmeal.
Right.
But then after some time, I was like, it's more convenient. Just stick to 2 meals a day. And I think it helped me drastically. I didn't even look up the benefits of intermittent fasting, or I didn't even take it up because of the benefits. I just took it up because it was convenient for me to follow and easy for me to follow. Even when I'm traveling, when you're traveling, you inevitably are eating out more, you're consuming more calories. But then when you just skip a meal, which for me is breakfast most of the time, and then you have a brunch, and then you have a early dinner, um like a dinner, early dinner, then it's much easier, to follow like that, the form of eating. But when it comes to holidays, what I tell clients and people is, generally your holidays are 20% of your year. It's not the majority, it's not the 80% of your year. If you're consistent for the 80% of the times you eat the rest of the year, you don't have to worry about what you eat during the holidays. You just go out and you have fun. It's a time of celebration. You're going to be with family. You don't want to be there with, like, not eating breakfast, or like
Right. Right.
not, you want to go and enjoy and have fun. That's what we do. No, what's the whole point of staying healthy and working out and staying fit most of the year and eating healthy most of the year, if you're not able to have these few days to yourself when you do whatever you want to do? So I don't think anyone should obsess over eating during the holidays. I think what people should be more worried about, what do you do for the rest of the year? And if you stay on track, or at least reasonably on track, like you mostly eat at home, you train 4 to 5 times a week, and then that's enough. Then that's a unless you want to compete and like get into bodybuilding, I don't think you should worry too much about the holidays.
Right. There's a need to reward yourself. And I think a lot of what fitness culture started as, we talk about the cheat day. And
Yeah,
it's a good sell, the idea of a cheat day where, oh, I've done everything I need 6 days a week, and there's one day I can cheat for the whole day. But it doesn't need to be that. It can be, going back to the
yeah,
80%, right? If the majority of your life is based in health and wellness and exercise and movement and
yeah,
meditation, all these healthy components, then,
yeah.
you can incorporate it whenever you want. But you have
Whenever
to
you,
be
yeah,
honest.
yeah,
Yeah, you have to be conscious and you have to be responsible to know that, okay, like I look at it as conscious eating. I've always called it conscious eating. I can like the last time I've had a McDonald's burger, it's probably been 4 or 5 years. Last time I had McDonald's fries, like maybe 3 months
yeah.
ago. Last time I had a
Same.
soda, maybe 3 months ago. And it's just being
Yeah,
aware of when's the last time I had this beverage or this when's the last time I consumed something that I know isn't good for me, and just kind
yeah,
of rewiring how you incorporate it. So now, every now and then, I'll buy a juice. Majority of my day is
yeah,
just drinking water. I have lemon, I put honey in it, sometimes cinnamon, all different things just to kind of make it more tasteful so I
yeah.
can keep drinking it. and occasionally I want a juice. And instead of, I say it again.
Yeah, okay, when you want to, you have to.
Right, right. And instead of drinking the juice as it is, I drink it like it's, my mindset is I drink it as liquor. So instead of drinking a whole bottle of juice, I just get like a small glass and I drink half of it, right? Like
Yeah,
I don't need what I'm looking for is flavor and taste. I'm not looking
yeah,
for I'm not looking to drink the whole bottle. There's no need to. I'm hydrated. I just want a little extra taste. And that's kind of
yeah.
what I see. And I've realized that I've been doing intermittent fasting for probably like 2 years now. I just never looked
Yeah,
at it like
thinking
that.
about it.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Absolutely.
I do a big breakfast. I do oatmeal, but I add banana, I add peanut butter, I do jam,
Yeah.
granola, and marshmallows. I have a sweet tooth, so I make it real sweet, and I'll have that
Ah,
heavy oat.
I should try
Say it.
marshmallows and oatmeal. Never tried it.
It's fun and like it melts and then you just kind of stir it around so all the flavors there. Um, so I'll do that. I'll do like 2 eggs and maybe I'll
Yeah,
have bacon and then I won't eat again until like 4 or 5. But by then it's just a big heavy dinner, heavy early
yeah,
dinner. But throughout the day,
yeah.
I'm drinking plenty of water. And then at night I'll have popcorn or I'll have my grapes or now I have my pomegranate, my pomegranates. So it's
But you know what's
the
beautiful? It's not like you're depriving yourself of any food. It's not like you're forcing yourself to eat only 2 meals. It's just how your body wants to eat now. And
right,
this there's a societal pressure of you, you should have a cheat meal. McDonald's tastes good, and you should have this. When really, a lot of times when you when you're intuitively eating, you really don't want to go out and eat that much. You really don't want to, you really don't want to eat three heavy meals. You really don't want to stick to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When you intuitively eat, you naturally go back to eating just how much your body requires. And just remove that. Like, we are constantly bombed with advertisement. If you remove that, then most people wouldn't want to go out and eat junk.
yeah, and I think it's also definitely the taste and realistically
Yeah,
snacks and all of that, they taste amazing. Like that's what they're made to taste like that, to keep us going back into it, to keep us eating. And I mean, I've realized through changing what I eat and snack on and consume throughout the day, I have a lesser desire to kind of consume and put something
yeah,
in my mouth all the time. So now I have the water. The water has flavor that keeps my palate intrigued and happy for a little bit. I have my morning meal. I have some snacks in between, and then I'll have a fun dinner. But there, like
yeah.
to your point, there isn't a need to just constantly eat. I know my body. I understand my body. If I'm hungry, I'll eat, or if I feel hunger coming, I'll eat. But there isn't this need to force feed and just keep stuffing, keep stuffing, keep stuffing.
Absolutely, I think that's amazing.
So, before we close out, any final points? Anything you want to touch on? Anything you feel we didn't discuss? Anything important you want to share with listeners?
I feel like, people, one thing, if I could pass like one message to people, it would be fitness doesn't have to be a burden. You shouldn't, like, if every day you're waking up feeling like, oh shit, I have to go to the gym again, then the gym is not for you. Don't do the gym. There's so many different forms of fitness. Try something with you. Enjoy. Try a yoga class. Try, like, aerial yoga class. Try Pilates. Try Zumba. Try spinning. Try boxing. Try mixed martial arts. There's so many different options. And you will find something where you look forward to doing it. So you don't have to stick to one form of fitness just because you think that's the only way you can get fit. You can get fit anyway, literally anyway. Any form of fitness will work. But keep exploring and make fitness meditative and therapeutic instead of like a tick mark. Like, I have to do this just because it's important and I have to stay healthy. No, it shouldn't be a tick mark. It should be something you look forward to doing.
Absolutely. There's option. There's always options, right? You don't
Yeah,
have, and to your earlier points, you don't have to do it. You don't have to sit down and be still and meditate. You can dance and meditate. You can lie down on the floor, meditate. You can, just lie in bed and meditate. You find what works for you. You meet the lifestyle halfway, and then you incorporate it into who you are and what you want, and you make it your own.
makes sense. Yeah.
And on that note, I'd like to end this episode of the Live This Love podcast, PEDs, Positive Enriching Discussions. I'm your host, Clifford Janice. You can find me on the IG at Gold's Conditioning. Rashni, can you tell the people where they can find you?
My website, rashizangvi.com, which I'm pretty sure you'll leave the links to below. And all my social media links are on my website.
Cool. You can listen to the Live This Love podcast on SoundCloud, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, and YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. And if you visit the Live This Love podcast on the Gold's Conditioner website, please be sure to leave a comment. Until next time, peace.